O Mother Nui, stretch high above this valley. Your starry body is our glory. Then see the hawk of yonder Rahur quit, his fiery splendor, oh so mighty. He brings a light for all our weary souls. He makes the broken spirit whole.
You know, when we think of a modern wellness retreat, we picture like yoga, green juice.
Oh, definitely. A weekend of total silence.
Right, a gentle reset for the mind and body. But imagine signing up for a retreat that doesn't last a weekend. It lasts up to 18 grueling months.
Yeah, that's a massive commitment.
You isolate completely, starve yourself, aggressively recite repetitive texts for days on end, and at the climax, you literally set your own skin on fire just to hack your brain.
It is intense.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today's mission is unpacking the Book of Abramelin. It's this legendary esoteric manual, and we're trying to answer a really fascinating question. Is this text about literal magic, or is it actually a pre-modern masterclass in radical cognitive restructuring?
Because if you want to fundamentally rewire a human mind, you can't just, do it in your living room.
No, obviously not.
Right. You have to completely isolate the physical senses first to break down the practitioner's current reality. The text demands this highly specific room called the oratory. It must have windows on all sides to track the sun's cycles, while absolutely cutting you off from human society.
And crucially, it requires an adjacent outdoor terrace covered entirely in clean river sand, which, instead of just being a nice patio, acts like a massive psychological projection screen for a completely sensory-starved brain.
Yeah, that blank canvas of sand is vital for the end of the ritual. But getting there requires an intense material commitment first, specifically the materia magica.
The physical tools.
Exactly. And the most famous tool is the Abramelin oil. The historical translations of this recipe actually drastically change the psychological weight of the entire ritual.
Yeah, I mean, the older Mattis translation from a French manuscript prescribes a 6-month timeline.
Yeah.
And it uses galangal, which is like a root spice similar to ginger.
Right.
But then the newer Den translation, pulling from older German texts, demands a massive 18 months. And it uses calamus, a marsh plant.
And that calamus is the key, because it exactly mirrors a strictly forbidden biblical recipe from the Book of Exodus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. By demanding the taboo biblical ingredient and extending the isolation to 1.5 years, the German text forces a much deeper, more punishing psychological commitment from the practitioner.
Wait, I have to push back here, though, because I'm looking at the rest of these ingredients.
Essential oils.
Yeah, massive amounts of cinnamon and cassia. Applying that mixture to bare skin isn't casting a spell. That is a literal chemical burn. I mean, this sounds less like magic and more like self-harm.
It is self-harm, but it's weaponized self-harm.
Weaponized.
Think about it. Imagine you've been fasting and isolated for months. Your mind is drifting, losing its grip on reality. That intense caustic pain from the oil acts as an intentional physical shock.
Oh, I see.
It's used to forcefully ground your awareness back into your physical body right when you need it most.
So that burn is just the final trigger pulled after systematically dismantling the psyche. Because the final 7 days of this ordeal sound agonizing.
They really are.
You wear a white veil to obscure your vision, eat a strict vegan diet of basically just water, and continuously recite Psalm 109 on your bare knees. How does repeating a psalm do anything?
Well, Psalm 109 is an intensely violent, vindictive prayer. By endlessly chanting it, you induce a trance state, completely replacing your internal monologue with aggressive religious fervor.
Wow.
Then, on the final day, the text commands you to walk rapidly in a circle until you collapse.
Let me get this straight. You combine starvation, sleep deprivation, and spinning in circles until you completely lose your balance. Are they intentionally trying to induce a psychotic break?
In modern medical terms, they are triggering an acute organic brain syndrome. The spinning causes what doctors call vestibular disorientation. Put it all together, and you clinically induce a state of delirium.
That's terrifying.
Your oxygen-starved brain is overwhelmed. But since you fed it nothing but religious archetypes for months, it desperately tries to make sense of the physiological chaos.
And that's when it projects the hallucination. The text calls it the Holy Guardian Angel, or the HGA. Your brain creates this ecstatic design vision to act as a psychological life raft.
Once your mind manifests that angel as an anchor, you suddenly have the psychological armor required to face the darkest, most terrifying parts of your own subconscious. And that's when the ritual enters a 3-day demonic convocation.
You open the window to that sand patio we mentioned, and you start summoning Lucifer, Leviathan, and legions of servitors.
Basically, they're magical underlings.
Right. And unlike typical occult rituals, you don't draw any protective magical circles on the floor. You just stand there relying entirely on the authority of this hallucinated angel. That is incredibly dangerous for your psyche.
Extreme.
Even Aleister Crowley, arguably the most infamous occultist of the 20th century, famously tried to complete this and failed, claiming he was haunted by what he unleashed.
Crowley's failure really highlights what those demons actually represent. If we view this ritual as a pre-modern form of extreme exposure therapy, you aren't calling literal monsters up from hell. You're externalizing your own repressed traumas, your deepest anxiety.
Carl Jung would call your shadow.
Exactly. By forcing those impulses onto that blank canvas of sand and subjugating them, you are attempting to achieve a fully integrated consciousness.
And once you bind those shadow elements, the text claims you get access to magic squares, grids of letters for invisibility, conjuring food, even necromancy. If you, the listener, were to try this, stripped of all your everyday cognitive dissonance, it's a radical historical example of how extreme discipline can completely rewire human reality.
But the text gives a very specific warning about those magic squares. They only operate through the coerced labor of those bound demons. So, if those demons actually represent your own subjugated psychological traumas, it leaves you with a profound question. Is the resulting magic simply what happens when you finally stop fighting yourself and unlock your brain's fully integrated, uninhibited potential? What could you accomplish today if you entirely stopped suppressing your own shadow?
Oh, wow. It makes you wonder, maybe the most powerful magic isn't pulling something out of thin air.
Yeah.
Maybe it's surviving an 18-month journey into the darkest corners of your own mind.